Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back for my latest video. This time around, I wanted to bring up a borderline obscure film. I mean, it does have its fans, of course, but its reach was about as small as its budget was. This is going to be for the 2002 film Bubba Ho-Tep, starring Bruce Campbell and Ossie Davis, among others, and directed by Don Coscarelli, who you may know from as having directed John Dies at the End years later, or the Beastmaster film in the 80s, or even those Phantasm horror films, of which I will soon be doing a franchise revisit for, to see if I can actually even make sense of those. So be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon to get notifications for when I put up those clips. Okay, so what is this strangely titled Bubba Ho-Tep film about? Well, the synopsis for this is as follows. Elvis Presley and a black JFK stay in a nursing home where nothing happens until a wayward Egyptian mummy comes and sucks out the old people's souls through their anuses. The two decide to fight back. Believe it or not, that is correct. Kind of simplified, but yeah, so we've got Elvis and JFK in a nursing home. As it says, a mummy was being transported and had kind of gone missing. It shows up at this nursing home where it's sucking the life force out of these old people who are relatively close to death, at least compared to much younger people. They're kind of there at the sunset of their lives, so when they die, nobody really seems to think twice about it. Even though their souls were technically sucked out of their anus, that is a part of this. But anyways, Elvis is played by Bruce Campbell, who does an excellent job, and Ossie Davis plays JFK. That's right, in this storyline that JFK had survived, but they dyed him that color to hide him. So, to clarify what the heck is going on, basically Elvis was depressed. He's dealing with a lot of mental health issues by the way of pills and food and such. He'd kind of had enough of life as Elvis, and he decided to switch places with an Elvis impersonator. So he had the option for a while with him that at any point they wanted, they could switch lives back. But this impersonator was such a fan, and he had such a way of kind of mimicking Elvis's life to put on these best performances. He actually had a lot of the similar issues with pills. And he's the one who actually ended up dying of that overdose and heart issues and everything. Basically, we thought Elvis died in the late 70s, but it was actually his impersonator. So now the real Elvis was stuck and just decided to kind of keep up with living the simple life of being an impersonator. And now he's old and retired and, living in this home. Every day is the same. He doesn't really have much going on, and then this mummy shows up. So we get a lot of strange occurrences happening. Some deaths, these Egyptian scarabs showing up. Something strange and dangerous is definitely happening. So he enlists the help of one of his only friends there, JFK, played by Ossie Davis, to help him with this situation. So we literally get Elvis with a walker and JFK in a wheelchair taking a stand against this mummy. This Bubba Ho-Tep, as he calls him. So a couple points here that I want to touch on, why I really enjoy this film. First, it's comedy. Everything about this literally says don't take this film too seriously. The director, at the time he was best known for Phantasm and Beastmaster. Knowing that, you should know the overall feel of this film. The budget, extremely tight, somewhere around $500,000, but somehow they're able to really stretch that and really make this film look like it was 10 times that budget. The music, now there is no Elvis music in this. Of course, a budget wouldn't really allow that, but the score by Brian Tyler, who's done a lot of work over the years, if you look him up on IMDb, it really sells this film. Having almost like a Western showdown kind of feel that somehow mixes the action aspects with the comedy while kind of lamenting the more serious aspects of the story, because drama. Yes, drama. The most surprising thing about this film is that aside from the expected absurd humor that's happening in these situations and these characters, what's going on with them, there's a lot of heart in this, similar to the Netflix show Derek, where there's a lot of comedy, but it touches on some of the problems within, nursing homes. This has kind of like a similar feel to it, where there are times when you realize that a lot of these elderly people are just kind of forgotten, even by their close family members. So I feel like this movie really has a lot to offer, a surprising amount, considering you just say Bubba Ho-Tep, it just looks ridiculous. I mean, even on the face of this Blu-ray here, it's a ridiculous idea. I mean, we literally have Elvis and a mummy and Ossie Davis there as JFK, but somehow they're able to work in that heart as well. So, even with, what the synopsis has or the trailer, we get a lot more going on in this movie than I was kind of expecting. So, and while I love the Phantasm films and, John dies at the end, and I even enjoyed Kenny and Company quite a bit, which is, I believe, the director's second film. I forget what the first one was called, like Jim the Great or something like that. I feel like this one is surprisingly more accessible to kind of hop in and enjoy as far as what this director is bringing to the screen, as long as you keep certain things in mind. We got low budget, absurd story, don't take it seriously. There's no Elvis music, so just deal with that. And there's a surprising amount of drama kind of thrown in, that's kind of snuck in there. But now there hasn't really, there's been a lot of talk for about 20 years now about making a sequel involving these vampires. And they even mention it in the end credits of this, that Elvis would return, but it's been 20 years, and in all likelihood, it's never going to happen. And that's okay, like many one-off films, sometimes things just don't line up, and, that's fine. That's all right. We just get our one film to really enjoy. We don't have to worry about, like, a lackluster sequel being made. I mean, remember how much we were really pushing for those Lost Boys sequels? Do you remember anything about those Lost Boys sequels? Did you even know that they existed? Sometimes just the first great film, just leave it at that and enjoy it, because it's definitely worth checking out. And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this quick little review here for Bubba Ho-Tep. At the time of this video, it's I believe it's available on streaming. I think it's on like Tubi and Pluto TV, I believe. But they also have a 4K Blu-ray coming out soon, which I definitely plan on picking up sometime. If you enjoy this film and others by this director, might I also suggest his book, True Indie by Don Coscarelli. This is a very interesting read about what his career has been like as an indie filmmaker. It goes into a lot of really interesting detail, a lot of stories about all the films that he'd worked on. I read it a couple of years ago. It was excellent. Definitely consider checking that one out. Anyways, thanks for coming by this latest little video of mine, and for sticking around to the end, as it really does help out quite a bit, as does subscribing and hitting that bell icon and sharing everything around. And I will see you in the next one.